Welcome back to Analytical Media. We are a consortium of therapists, college professors, and well-published peer-reviewed authors. Today's question: should you compromise in a relationship? Is compromise good for a relationship? Does compromise hurt a relationship? But the specific question was, should you compromise in a relationship? It sounds reasonable. She wants to go to her movies and you want to go to your movies, and so you decide, well, half this week I'll decide, next week she'll decide, then back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, compromise. But it isn't that simple. Compromise could well work with things that are subjective in nature, but not with things that are objective in nature. Objective means that the truthfulness exists outside of a human being. The capital of the United States is Washington, D.C. It doesn't depend on any person. It's the capital. The answer to 4 plus 4 does not depend on an individual. The answer exists beyond the individual. Now, the answer to this question, which is the best flavor of ice cream, chocolate or vanilla, does not exist objectively. You cannot say it's chocolate, and you can't assert that it's vanilla. For you, there's an answer. You like chocolate better than vanilla. And your friend, she likes vanilla better than chocolate. And the answer lies within the individual. If you want the answer to the best ice cream for Karen, you have to look inside Karen. You have to talk to Karen about her feelings. The capital of the United States, you don't have to ask Karen. It doesn't depend on what Karen thinks. That's objective. Objective knowledge does not depend on the individual. Subjective knowledge completely depends on the individual or the subject, thus the name subjective knowledge. So, compromise is not necessarily a good thing. Compromise believes that we must share something, that a decision must be a compromise. However, that belies the fact that there are objectively provable rights and wrongs, like the answer to 4 plus 4. You can prove the answer. It doesn't depend on the individual. You could believe it's 8 or you could believe it's 9. You would be right if you believe 4 plus 4 was 8. And you would be wrong if you believe 4 plus 4 was 9. So in that case, you need to determine the objective path. In a relationship, many things are objective. They're not subjective. And one should not treat those things as if it was just a matter of opinion. Like, well, you got to pick the color of our house the last time, and now I get to pick the color of the house this time. You should pick the best color for the house, meaning the one that the HOA will approve of, the color that will help to sell the house when the time comes to sell it. So, and a color that we know is more appealing to the public than a color that isn't, or a color they're not used to. Like, are there any houses that are painted hot pink? Well, maybe waterfront properties, but not in your normal neighborhood. Should you put carpeting on your front lawn, say a nice plush with a thick padding, or should you have grass? Well, the question is, what would work? You know that carpeting would rot if it's out in the rain. It would fade if it's in blazing sun. There is a right and wrong, and I'm giving you obvious examples, but what about your children? What about the compromise? It's your child and it's her child. Should you compromise with how you treat the children? Many people would say yes, you should. Because after all, she's the mother and you're the father. And that's a 50-50 kind of thing. Let's look at raising your children. Should you compromise? Well, your partner wants to feed your child 1 cup of poison. You want to feed your child no poison. Isn't the obvious compromise half a cup? For those who want to compromise, it's 1 cup of poison, no cups of poison. We give the kid half a cup of poison. Well, obviously, no, because it's wrong. It's objectively wrong. It's not a subjective element. Then that sounds obvious enough. So the idea is we don't compromise just to give in. We, as a couple, you try to determine what's best objectively for the couple, for the relationship, for the marriage, what is best. And thus there's an external standard. It's objective, it's external, it's not subjective, where you could say, well, I like this and you like that, and we need to compromise. Well, if it's subjective, yes, you may compromise, but there may be an objective component, or it may all be objective. And even with subjective things, like for instance, what movie do you decide to go to? Well, what you've been doing is you've been compromising. This week, you pick. Next week, he picks. Then it's back to you. And then it's back to him. And it's a compromise. Now this week, it's his turn to pick. And he's going to pick some action-adventure film. She doesn't really like it. It's not the type of film she really likes. She likes the romantic comedies, or vice versa. She may like adventure and he likes romantic comedies. It doesn't matter. The thing is, they don't like the same thing, and so they've compromised. But this week, it's his turn to pick, and he's probably going to go action-adventure. And for her, this week, her movie has come out. The one that's a series that she's seen, the first one, and then she saw the sequel, and she saw the one after that. She's been waiting a year for this to come out. Comes out this weekend. Probably only be in the local theater for a few days. You only go to the movies on a weekend. So if she doesn't see it this week, she isn't going to see it. Now, for him, he's just going to watch that action-adventure, and that's his choice, that's his pick. But for her, it really means a lot. This movie is really important to her. And what do you do in that circumstance? You've compromised. This week mine, next week hers, back and forth. You've compromised. But it really hurts her in this circumstance. It doesn't help him much, but it hurts her. She really wanted to go to that other movie. And in a circumstance like this, which there are many, many in a relationship, both people should be selfless. It's not me and her or me and him. It is one. We're united as one party. And as such, we think about how much good is produced by him going to his movie this week. Okay, rate it. How much do you want to go to your movie? Be honest. How much pleasure will it bring you? On a scale of 0 to 10, and he might say 3, if he's being honest. It's pleasure. He likes it better than her movie, and it's his turn. And then you ask her, how much pleasure will this bring you to go to your movie this week? And she says 10, and it's true. It's obvious it's 10. Nobody's lying here. At this point, we go for the greater good. This means an awful lot to her, and as a couple, they should pick this movie because it means so much to her. It could be that this is some movie coming up is really important to him. And if her movie brings a 10 and his brings a 9, then they should go to her movie. If her movie brings a 9 and his brings a 3, then it's obvious they should go to her movie. And the only problem is when her movie brings a 10 and his movie brings a 10. It's really a rarity. You might need to expand the scale. It's possible, but it's a rarity that would occur. Compromise in subjective matters is possible, but not compromise across the board. A relationship should not be a matter of compromise. You decided where we're going to eat dinner last night, I'll decide tonight. It is not compromise. It can't be simply compromise. Compromise is not the answer. It's like a Band-Aid. Relationship, when you compromise, you're compromising between two parties. A good relationship, the one you want, there won't be two parties. It should be a unit of one, a unity that brings a oneness, and then what is best for the one. You may have 4 children, and the line that most people who have children express is, I love them equally. I love them all equally. I treat them equally. Well, that's the idea. You need to treat your partner equal to you. Your partner needs to treat you equal to them. And it's much easier then to decide the greater good. And it might be obvious with children again. If one child, you alternate activities on the weekend with your kids, one gets his turn and then the other gets their turn. But this weekend, the one child is having an honors dinner at his Little League, where he's to be honored with a small award. And your other child, the child whose turn it is to pick, they want to eat at Pizza Hut. They don't want to go to the awards dinner. So if the family compromises or takes turns or uses that Band-Aid method, they would say, oh, it's too bad, son, you don't get to go to your Little League award dinner. It's fair, we have to compromise. But obviously, if parents would not do that, they'd say, the award dinner is more important to little Tommy than Pizza Hut is to little Heather. And that's how you should treat each other. It's more important to my wife, my spouse, my life partner. It's more important, this thing, to them. And so we will do it for them. And they don't need to decide for you to say, well, it's for my partner, it's more important. And this is an open, honest thing. It's not a matter of voting on it. It's something that could be easily determined if we're being fair in a relationship and honest and open. It should be easy to see what's more important to who. And this idea of an objective standard of greater good is how the relationship should work. Now we recognize that there are subjective things, purely subjective things, like the flavor of ice cream, the one that is the best. We recognize that. Your favorite color, we recognize that. Yours might be blue and hers might be red. And there's not much we can do about that. But for more serious things, especially things that end relationships, that are the impetus for divorce, those things are rarely just subjective. A standard of the greater good can be applied to most of those things. And you would see, if you were to analyze good relationships, you would see that that's true. Just like you buy shoes for the child who needs them the most, without thinking about it. It could be the same thing between you and your spouse, you and your partner. Who needs the shoes the most? Who needs the new coat? And no other standard should apply other than that of the greater good, who would benefit the most. Since it's a unity, there is so much more to relationships. And relationships are very important things. That's why to say someone is a spouse is short, it's incomplete, it's insufficient. All the other terms should apply, like life partner. It's your wife, it's your life partner, it's your spouse, and a dozen other terms. So it's such an important thing. It's a partnership, a lifelong partnership, a real partnership. If you have other questions, today's question, is compromise okay in a relationship or good for a relationship? It's a complicated answer. However, a relationship that relies basically on compromise, that relationship, the one that relies on compromise, is really a band-aid. It's a way to keep the relationship moving forward without constant fighting. But it's not good for the relationship. It doesn't fix the relationship. So, in that sense, compromise is not always a good thing. In fact, if there's too much compromise, it means that we're simply making good, we're making equal in our mind, not choosing right or wrong, not looking to a higher standard, not looking to greater good, but simply compromising. And that in itself is not good. We will discuss more of this. We will answer any questions you have. Let us know, and we will talk to you the next time we publish. See you then.